Hey traders, and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about this gold movement that we're seeing, as well as what smart money has been up to. And I think it might be a very interesting video, so stick around to the very end, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, and let's jump in. So gold here actually jumped here this morning. You can see a really big run up from our lows at 1950, which did get retested, and gold looks like it's well on its way to try and come back to the previous high. Now here's your 4-hour chart. You can see we've been in a nice overall upward trend. Price retested areas like this 1935 mark, and personally I was looking for an opportunity to get long if we saw a retest back into that area. Have not seen it just yet, and it does seem like gold is moving on without me. So here is looking forward my personal opinion about gold. I would be interested in getting long gold in two scenarios. Number one, if we do decide to retest this 1935 mark, I'm interested in possibly picking it up long. And if we break out through the highs, a pullback into the 2000 mark also looks very interesting for the gold market. Now, I'll give you guys a case scenario where if I do get long on the gold market, what's that going to look like? Well, probably a pullback into, like I said, this 1935 mark has my eye, and then I'm looking for a move back to the previous highs. And this right here is a 2-to-1 risk to reward trade. So, and again, this is based off the higher time frames. If I'm looking at the daily chart, a big pullback here occurred, followed by a massive rally. This market is very, very heavy momentum based right now. Buyers are very strong, and I'm looking for a piece of the action, but I've got to be patient. So anyways, that's case one, which would be, again, a pullback into the support zone. My stop loss would be placed underneath the previous low or market structure point here around 1913. So I probably wouldn't want to see price dive much more than that. And again, we might have a retest of that zone. It's possible, but like I said, my stop loss would have to be triggered if we break through the lows. That's something that I am personally interested on gold, and I'll give you some more context in just a second. Real quick, I'll show you guys a trade that has actually been taken by my colleague or my trading assistant, my trading partner, Frank. He's actually long gold. He picked it up this morning, and I think he's already in a good bit of profit here on the day trading side. Really, really nice move by Frank. He caught it on this pullback intraday, called out that signal within the group. If you'd like to see all the trades being shared by myself, by Frank, and by Ivan, we share all of our stuff within the Discord channel. You can see what it looks like. Again, you've got my trades under Nick's trades, Frank's trades, Ivan's trades. We have chat rooms available, and we have coaching webinars throughout the week. If you'd like access, we're actually doing a sale right now, and if you head down into the description, you'll see a link to send us a message. Within the VIP Discord channel, you'll get access to all the entries and exits from myself, Frank, and Ivan. You'll be able to learn our trading strategies in depth. We are offering now a new program called our Get Funded program. If you'd like more information, again, message us down below, and you'll be able to join our community of traders from around the world. Now, if you want access to this discount that's going on right now, click the link down below in the description. It'll take you to a chat icon where you can have a conversation with one of our support reps. Just send them or ask them a question about our VIP discount going on right now, and you can get access for a discounted rate. And again, a support rep will be happy to help you out with that. So with this gold price rallying like this, the question is, am I going to jump in myself? The answer is no. I have to be either, like I said, case scenario number one, a retest down into this 1935, which is looking less likely as we get into today's price action, or scenario number two, guys, is a breakout to the upside. You might say, well, why don't you just buy it now if you think it's going to go up there? We'll see if it gets up there. But again, we're going to react. We are reactionary on this channel. I talk about trading from a reactionary perspective, meaning I'm waiting to see that price does indeed have the strength to potentially break out of this previous high. Looking left, we had a double top potentially, but we never broke to the downside. So this is not necessarily a confirmed double top. This is an important distinction for price action based traders. Many times they will say, hey, look, this is forming a double top, but it's not necessarily a double top in my view until you start seeing lower lows and lower highs, right? We're not there yet in this particular case. This is nothing to be too afraid of. It looks just to me like consolidation this week. Now, what I'd be interested in is a breakout of the highs, and at that point, possibly looking for another entry. Now, this is far away from where we currently are. This is something we may need to revisit in the next couple days, but a pullback in that case after a breakout would be interesting for continuation plays. There's two trade scenarios that I'm looking at on gold, and I want to add some more context to gold. Here is the latest in terms of the Smart Money Tracker. This is our COT report data software, and what we take a look at is we can see the gold market here, guys. If we zoom in a little bit on this, the gold chart bar chart here shows a heavy interest from institutional traders on the long side. Now, this bar chart may not mean too much to you, but let me break it down a little bit further. We'll scroll down here and I want to show you guys the gold chart. Here it is. I'm going to highlight this. And what we can see is that in terms of, this is the futures market. And in the futures market, this is where a lot of gold is traded, right? This is the long contracts versus the short contracts. We get this information from the COT report filed here in the US. Long contracts massively outpace short contracts, 238,000, let's call it, long contracts as of the latest filing. On the short side, institutional investors are much less interested. And not only this, guys, this is of course interesting stuff. We have 80K short contracts, 238K long contracts. A very clear distinction here. Not only that, this is the latest change. 7,000 additional long contracts were picked up in the latest filing, whereas decreases on the short side. 11,000 less short contracts or closed positions. People, institutionals taking off their short positions with gold. Very telling information as we look at this week's trading action. You can see a little bit of a revival on the gold market and why I am personally still long. This is also one of our top rated signals currently on the Edge Finder. And I think that in terms of the Edge Finder getting a +4, this is still a buy rated signal for us on gold, and part of the reason why I continue to look for opportunities there myself. And like I said, Frank with his signal is currently long himself. The Edge Finder will allow you to access our Smart Money Tracker, which allows you to get access to that COT data that I keep talking about. You can also track what retail traders are up to. You can track bank signals, which is basically the research put out by major banks. High probability watch list, which is our signals tab there. We have signals for 30 plus assets, whether you trade gold, pound yen, euro dollar, the dollar, whatever you trade. You have one-time payment for access. So if you're interested in supporting our campaign with this software, our company A1 Trading, we build tools for traders. This is our specialty. This is what we do. And if you're interested in getting access to our data and our tools, I invite you to click that link down below and chat with one of our support reps here. We are standing by in the office right now. Got a couple people who are ready to help set you up with software or get you inside of the Discord. So yeah, I do like gold on the long side. Let's take a look at some other assets here. I also like AUD on the short side, Aussie dollar, strong sell right now. And we'll pull this up. I'll show you guys what this chart's looking like. I am short on this one. This one has sort of gone against me so far. I may have been a little bit early on my entry. Well, I guess with hindsight in my favor, I can tell you I definitely was, but I still like this trade. I basically sold it on a retest here. Price did not necessarily immediately go anywhere, just kind of went back and forth, and now is threatening to go against me. My stop loss is above the 61.8% retracement, and if I'm wrong about that, I'll take a loss. We'll just take it for what it is. It'll be a small loss. However, right now the Australian dollar has a strong sell signal overall on the Edge Finder, and so I am interested in potentially trying again if needed. We'll keep an eye on price action going forward. For those of you guys who are in the VIP, if I take a trade on this or update a trade on this, you guys will see it there. Let's see what else we have. The indices still showing up as very bearish right now. SPX 500 notably. Let's pull up the US stock market here for just a second. We can see SPX 500 here on the daily chart. Really simple chart here. What you can see is we've had a pretty consistent lower high plague hitting this chart, meaning that every time price tries to get a run going, sellers come in strong. And if this breaks, I think that we are in a little bit of trouble, right? You have a little bit of an upward trend going on or a counter trend going on, but the bigger picture is still bearish off the daily. So if you're watching the S&P 500 in my opinion, I don't personally love to short the S&P 500, and Frank and we prefer to go long dollar if you're short biased in the S&P. Just personal preference, how we like to trade. We've been trading together for a long time. We are looking for dollar longs if we're S&P 500 bearish. I know that's a little bit confusing for the newer guys and girls, but that's kind of what we tend to do. If we're bearish on the markets, if we think things are not looking good, we usually will look to go buy the dollar in a risk off scenario, meaning markets are fearful. So with this S&P 500 rallying and coming into a level of resistance, we have seen from the highs a good little sell-off, but we really need to see a breakout one way or the other. So if you're watching this thing and you're bearish, I'd say watch for a break of this this upward trajectory. And we can actually zoom in on price action a little bit better off the 4-hour chart. You can see here is your 4-hour view where we've had this beautiful little counter trend going on. But the question is the fun over? And which way is the fun over? The seller's going to get smacked, or are the buyers going to get smacked? We're at a point where we don't necessarily know the answer yet. We're waiting to see what price action does. If this thing breaks to the downside, I think it has room to sort of put in some new lows and trend a bit lower here based off of the trend that we're identifying off the daily chart. So there's a little price action for you when talking about the S&P 500. Let's take a look at some more assets here. We can take a look, maybe we'll take a look at the pound USD. So the pound USD has a sell bias. The problem is the chart doesn't necessarily show any sell setups. Now, we are back at the highs, which is really interesting here. We talked about this last week. We said if this trend line was able to really break with some conviction, there may be some nice opportunities. We also talked about this trend line. This did break, and it dragged us down right into this longer term upward trend. We didn't have any follow through, and I even mentioned on my Sunday video, for those of you guys who watch a lot of the content on the channel and you watch the Sunday video, I mentioned that if the pound USD was able to put in a lower high, meaning maybe like a return back to the lows or even a breakout, this would be like super short biased. But we never got that. In fact, the pound USD has continued to drive higher and is now back at the previous high. So why on earth does the Edge Finder have a sell bias on this thing if the chart is bullish? And this is where, if you guys, the regulars, you know I repeat myself. If you're newer to this stuff, we talk about 3 things on this channel. Technical analysis, we talk about fundamental analysis, and we talk about sentiment analysis. And this is the strategy that we talk over and over about. Most traders, they trade technicals, they trade charts, they do price action, candlestick patterns, market structure, which I think is great. Love those things. But it's not the only thing. We also have fundamental analysis to consider. We have sentiment analysis to consider. How do we identify trends here? Well, this is really where our software has been built for this exact purpose. Anybody can draw charts, trend lines, pullbacks, market structure. In my opinion, this is the easy part. This is why the reality is, think about this with me for a second. I've spoken with many hedge fund managers through my podcast series. I've had the pleasure of asking questions to these people who run major firms. They don't use technical analysis nearly as much as retail traders do. Retail traders look at charts, and there's nothing wrong with charts. Some hedge fund managers also use charts, but it's almost unanimously not the only thing they pay attention to. They also pay attention to fundamental forces and sentiment analysis, meaning what are other major banks doing? What are they buying and selling? What are they worried about? Understanding sentiment is very important, right? If you knew what a big player was about to do with their money and they were smart and savvy investors, you would pay attention to that, right? That's why we use this data to add confluence. So when I say that the pound USD is a bearish signal, the chart is still bullish. So what I'm waiting for is we have COT data. If we actually pull up, let me show you guys this from the smart money tracker perspective. Let's do a quick view of the dollar. And again, dollar, lots of long contracts, 26,000, only 12,000 short. What about the pound? Well, let's go look at the pound, 28,000 long, 49,000 short. More interest on the short side when we're talking about the pound. So when we go look at this chart, we have to be hesitant. Yes, it's an upward chart, but the chart can be deceiving. If this thing starts cracking to the downside, we are going to be short biased, but not until the technicals actually align with that, again, what we talked about earlier, the fundamentals and sentiment. So We look at all three pillars is what we talk about them on the channel as, the three pillars of analysis that we do here. In this video, I know I went through a lot of fundamental analysis based concepts, so I put together a video just for you to help you out with this concept if you struggle with your fundamental analysis. Click here and check it out for yourself.